Have you ever wondered why some moments in the bedroom fade from memory almost instantly, while others stick in a man's mind for years, replaying like a favorite movie scene? We often think the difference lies in technique, some secret movement or acrobatic skill that we haven't mastered yet. But the truth, especially as we move into the landscape of modern relationships in 2026, is far more fascinating. The gap between good and unforgettable isn't physical, it is entirely psychological. Most advice focuses on the mechanics, treating intimacy like a manual labor task, but ultimate pleasure, the kind that makes him feel deeply connected to you and only you, starts in the brain, not the body. If you are just going through the motions, he feels it. But if you can tap into the psychology of pleasure, you trigger an obsession that goes far beyond the physical act. Today, we aren't just learning a method, we are unlocking a mindset. So what exactly is the oral obsession technique? It sounds intense, perhaps even a little intimidating, but I want you to reframe that thought immediately. This isn't about working harder, and it certainly isn't about performing a chore to keep him happy. This technique is a subtle psychological power play. It is a specific way of layering sensory overload with psychological pacing to create a loop in his mind where you become the source of his ultimate relief. When we talk about obsession in this context, we are talking about a deep biological craving. The oral obsession technique combines visual anchoring, auditory feedback, and a very specific rhythm that mimics his own heartbeat to bypass his conscious defenses. It makes him feel vulnerable, seen, and completely surrendered to your touch. By the end of this video, you are going to have a blueprint. You won't just be a partner participating in intimacy. You will be the architect of an experience that he literally cannot find anywhere else. We are going to turn the lights on in parts of his brain that have likely been dormant for a long time. Before we get to the how, we have to clear out the what. For years, magazines and generic blogs have fed women the same tired advice. They tell you that speed is king, or that you need to learn tricks that involve ice cubes, grapefruits, or exhausting gymnastics. Let's be honest, that advice is not only outdated, it is often a mood killer. It treats the act like a race to the finish line, or a performance where you are being graded on technical skill. Here is the reality. High-value men are not looking for a human jackhammer. In fact, focusing purely on fancy tricks or speed often backfires because it disconnects you from the moment. You get so focused on doing it right that you forget to feel anything. The biggest aphrodisiac for a man is not your technique, it is your enthusiasm. His pleasure receptors are directly linked to his perception of your pleasure. If he thinks you are just servicing him, his body might respond, but his mind will drift. But if he believes you are genuinely devouring the moment because you want it, that is when the psychological obsession begins to take root. This brings us to the most critical shift you will make today, the goddess view. Too many women approach this act with a mindset of submission or service, thinking, I hope he likes this, or I need to do this so he stays happy. That energy is heavy, and frankly, it lowers your value in the moment. I want you to flip that script entirely. You are not servicing him. You are controlling his pleasure. You are the one in charge of his sensations, his pacing, and his release. When you adopt this view, your body language changes naturally. You stop rushing, you stop worrying about how you look, and you start focusing on the power you hold between your hands. Think of yourself as the orchestrator of a symphony. He is the audience bound to his seat, waiting for whatever note you decide to play next. When you truly internalize this, that you are the prize giving a gift, not a worker doing a job, he feels a shift in the room's energy. He feels safer to let go of his own control because he senses that you are confident enough to handle him. Finally, we have to talk about the context of where we are right now. We live in an age of fracture. In 2026, our attention spans are shorter than ever. We are constantly pinged, notified, and distracted. This means that genuine, undivided attention has become the rarest and most valuable commodity on earth. This applies to the bedroom more than anywhere else. If your mind is wandering to your to-do list, or if the TV is flickering in the background, you are breaking the spell before you even cast it. The oral obsession technique requires a bubble of intimacy. This means phone face down, lights dim to a warm glow, and the world outside the door completely shut out. When a man feels that a woman is 100% present, that for the next 20 minutes nothing exists in her universe but him, it triggers a massive dopamine response before you even touch him. In a world where everyone is looking at a screen, looking deeply into his eyes and being fully there is a radical act of love. This level of presence signals to his primal brain that he is the most important thing in your world, opening him up for the experience to come. We need to address the elephant in the room immediately: your own self-perception. Many women rush to turn off the lights because they are worried about a roll of skin, an unflattering angle, or simply feeling exposed. But to master the oral obsession, you must understand male visual psychology. A man does not see you the way you see yourself. When he is in a state of arousal, his brain filters out what you consider flaws and hyperfocuses on the eroticism of the event. He isn't looking for perfection. He is looking for participation. The visual component is critical because men are stimulated by seeing the act just as much as feeling it. This creates what psychologists call the snapshot effect, a mental image that gets burned into his memory, which he will replay later when he thinks of you. To use this to your advantage, don't pitch the room into total darkness. Instead, use soft, warm lighting, a bedside lamp, or a few candles. This is universally flattering and sets a relaxed mood. Position yourself so he can see you, whether you are between his legs looking up or positioning yourself so he can see your hair moving. The visual of you engaging with his body is a massive turn-on. It validates his desire. When he looks down and sees you watching him, observing his pleasure, it triggers a spike in testosterone. It tells him she isn't hiding, she is owning this. That visual confidence alone can make him harder than any physical touch ever could. Now that we have set the visual scene, we must fill the silence. One of the most common mistakes women make is staying completely silent, or worse, having the TV blaring in the background. Silence can be misinterpreted by men as boredom, detachment, or even reluctance. If you are quiet, his insecure brain starts asking, is she enjoying this? Is she just waiting for me to finish? This anxiety kills his arousal and makes it harder for him to reach that peak state of pleasure. You need to create a soundscape of pleasure. This doesn't mean you need to put on a fake performance or scream like a confusing movie scene. It simply means providing auditory feedback that validates his masculinity. Soft moans, heavy breathing against his skin, and the wet sounds of the act itself are incredibly arousing to him. They act as a compass, telling him he is going in the right direction. Simple phrases like, "You taste so good," "I love the way you feel," or even just a low hum of approval bypass his logical brain and hit his primal drive. When he hears that you are turned on by him, his physical sensation is magnified tenfold. We have the lights right, and we have the sound right. Now, most women would dive right in, but you are not most women. You are a master of the obsession. The secret to an unforgettable experience lies in the anticipation, not just the execution. This is where the no-touch initiation comes into play. The goal here is to ramp up his desire until he is practically begging for you to touch him. If you give him the prize immediately, you skip the most powerful part of the seduction curve. Start by positioning yourself comfortably between his legs, but do not touch his most sensitive area yet. Instead, use your breath. Hover your mouth just an inch above him. Let the warmth of your breath ghost over his skin. This temperature contrast sends shivers up his spine because his brain expects touch, but you are denying it. Use your hands to stroke his thighs, his knees, or his lower stomach, everywhere except where he wants you. You can kiss the inside of his thighs, moving agonizingly slowly inward, and then pull back just as you get close. This teasing technique fires up his nerve endings. He knows it's coming, and that knowledge creates a tension that is almost electric. You are training him to wait, to anticipate, and to focus entirely on you. By the time you finally make contact, his sensitivity will be so heightened that the slightest touch will feel like an explosion. Now we enter the core of the technique. The foundation of the oral obsession is not fancy tongue tricks. It is the management of environment, specifically wetness and temperature. The biology of the male anatomy is straightforward. Friction without lubrication is painful, but friction with excessive lubrication and warmth mimics the internal sensation of intercourse, which is biologically designed to be the ultimate pleasure trigger. First, let's talk about wetness. You must banish the idea that slobber is gross. In this context, it is liquid gold. A dry mouth feels like sandpaper. You need to generate as much saliva as possible, or use a high-quality, water-based lubricant. The goal is to eliminate drag. You want a sensation that is slippery and seamless, allowing you to glide without pulling the skin. If you feel your mouth getting dry, pause and reapply or gather saliva. Do not power through dryness. Second is temperature. The mouth is naturally warm, but you can hack this for a mind-blowing effect. If you have a glass of warm tea or warm water nearby, take a sip before you start. A heated mouth feels significantly more intense to a man than a neutral one. It rushes blood to the surface of the skin instantly. Conversely, if you want to experiment later, an ice cube can provide a shocking contrast, but for the ultimate pleasure technique we are discussing today, warmth is your best friend. It relaxes the muscles while stimulating the nerves, creating a cozy, enveloping sensation that makes him feel safe and ecstatic simultaneously. Once you have the lubrication and temperature dialed in, you need to establish the rhythm. This is where 90% of women lose the thread. They think faster is better, so they start bobbing their heads frantically like they are at a rock concert. This is a mistake. Fast movement too early leads to overstimulation, which can actually numb his sensation or cause him to finish before he has really enjoyed the build-up. It also tires you out, making the experience feel like a workout rather than an intimate connection. The oral obsession relies on the heartbeat pace. Think of a resting heartbeat. It is a slow, deep, deliberate rhythm. Start here. This pace is hypnotic. It allows his brain to process every single sensation. Use your hand to stabilize the base and use your mouth to work the top, moving in this steady trance-like rhythm. The psychological effect of a steady rhythm is profound. It allows him to relax into the experience rather than bracing himself against it. He stops trying to hold on and starts floating. As you feel his hips begin to move or his breathing gets heavier, that is your signal to slightly increase the tempo. But do it gradually. Think of it like a train leaving a station, a slow chug that builds momentum, not a race car launching off the line. You are syncing your movement with his arousal levels. If you feel him twitch or tense up, slow back down to the heartbeat pace. This tease and deny within the rhythm keeps him on the edge of the cliff without letting him fall over, extending his pleasure for as long as you choose. You are the conductor of this tempo. He just follows your lead. We have discussed the what and the when, but now we must discuss the specific how. The mechanical secret to this technique is the difference between friction and suction. Friction is rubbing up and down. Suction is creating a seal. While friction feels good, suction is what triggers the obsessive intensity because it stimulates the deep nerve endings that surface-level rubbing simply cannot reach. To achieve the vacuum, you want to relax your jaw but keep your lips firm. Imagine you are drinking a very thick milkshake through a straw. You hollow out your cheeks slightly to create negative pressure inside your mouth. This seal is crucial. It pulls the blood into the area, making it incredibly sensitive and firm. When you combine this suction with the lubrication we discussed earlier, you create a gliding vacuum seal that feels unlike anything else. Crucially, you must ensure your teeth are completely out of the equation. Curl your lips slightly over your teeth to create a soft, pillowy barrier. The sensation should be soft lips and strong suction, with your tongue strictly flattened or gently massaging from the bottom, never poking or jabbing. This milking motion combined with the vacuum seal provides a consistent, intense pressure that surrounds him completely. It feels all-encompassing. This specific mechanic is often the missing link for women who feel like they are doing everything right but aren't getting that extreme reaction they want. We wrap up the core technique with the element that binds the physical to the emotional, the eye contact anchor. You can have the perfect rhythm, the perfect suction, and the perfect warmth, but if you are staring at the wall or keeping your eyes squeezed shut the entire time, you are missing the opportunity to claim his soul. The oral obsession becomes truly psychological when you introduce vulnerability. At the most intense moments, perhaps when you are using the vacuum mechanic or when you feel him getting close to the edge, I want you to pause the movement for a split second and look up at him. Lock eyes with him. This is the goddess gaze. In that moment, he sees you in a position of service, yet looking at him with total dominance and confidence. It creates a vulnerability loop. He feels exposed, and seeing you witness his pleasure makes the moment deeply intimate. It tells him, I am doing this for you and I am watching you fall apart. That connection releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, alongside the dopamine. This is what makes him obsessed with you specifically rather than just the act itself. It anchors the pleasure to your face and your eyes. Now that you have established the rhythm and the suction, you are holding a loaded weapon of pleasure. But here is the secret that separates the masters from the amateurs. Do not pull the trigger too early. If you race straight to the finish line, the experience is over before his brain has time to fully register the intensity. To create that deep-seated obsession, you must master the art of the pause, commonly known as edging. Edging is the practice of bringing him to the very brink of release, the point of no return, and then stopping just before he goes over. You need to be observant. Watch for the physical cues, his toes curling, his hips bucking involuntarily, or his breathing stopping completely. These are the signals that he is seconds away. When you see this, stop the vacuum suction immediately. Do not stop touching him entirely, as that can be jarring, but switch to a much softer, slower action. Maybe just lick the inside of his thigh, or use your hand at a very slow pace. This sudden drop in intensity creates a biological desperation. His body is screaming for release, and by denying it for just 30 to 60 seconds, you are proving that you are the one in control. He realizes that his pleasure is entirely in your hands. When you finally resume the main technique, the sensation will be twice as powerful because his nerve endings are now hypersensitized. Doing this once or twice during the session builds a tension that makes the final moment feel earth-shattering rather than just good. You have built the tension, you have anchored the visual, and you have edged him to the brink. Now it is time for the finale. This is the moment of ultimate pleasure. When you decide it is time to let him go, perhaps after the second edge, you are going to combine every element we have discussed into a symphony of sensation. Bring back the vacuum seal, engage the heartbeat rhythm, but this time allow it to accelerate to match his frantic breathing. As he approaches the finish, do not back away. Many women instinctively pull back or loosen their grip as the man releases, but this is the moment he needs you the most. Stay right there, deepen the suction, tighten your hand grip slightly at the base to ensure the pulses are strong. This is where the goddess view we talked about in chapter 1 is most critical. You must show enthusiasm. If he feels you pulling away or wincing, it kills the afterglow. If he feels you staying present, drinking in his pleasure, it validates him on a profound level. If you are comfortable, this is the moment to look up and lock eyes with him one last time. That visual of you, completely engaged and accepting of his most vulnerable state, will be the image that sears into his brain. Ride the waves of his release with him, slowing down gradually only after he is completely finished. Do not stop abruptly. Let the movements fade slowly, like a bell that continues to ring after it has been struck. This ensures that the physical sensation transitions smoothly into emotional satisfaction, leaving him floating in a state of absolute euphoria that he will associate 100% with you. The 30 seconds immediately following intimacy are just as important as the act itself. This is the afterglow anchor. A common mistake many women make, often out of habit or hygiene, is to immediately jump up, run to the bathroom, and start cleaning up. While hygiene is important, rushing away the second it is over sends a subconscious signal of rejection. It tells his primal brain that the transaction is done and you want to escape. Instead, stay in the bubble for at least a minute. Lay your head on his chest, run your fingers through his hair, or simply whisper, "That was amazing." In this moment, his brain is flooded with oxytocin and dopamine. He is in a chemically altered state of bonding. By staying physically close, you anchor those feel-good chemicals to your presence. You are wiring his brain to believe that safety and happiness are synonymous with being near you. You now possess the blueprint for the oral obsession. We have moved past the old myths of 2024 and 2025 and stepped into a new era of mindful psychological intimacy. Remember, this technique is not about performing a duty, it is about stepping into your power. When you control the pleasure, you control the dynamic, and you create a relationship that is vibrant, connected, and deeply satisfying for both of you. If you are ready to leave the routine behind and become truly unforgettable in 26, I want you to go down to the comments right now and type 26. Let that be your pledge to yourself to embrace your confidence and own your intimacy. And if you want to dive deeper into the male mind, learning the secrets he will never tell you himself, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. I have so many more secrets to share with you. See you in the next video.